This is Epic Groupcast. I'm Anthony.
I'm Alan.
And I'm Lawrence.
It's Jordan.
Today we have several important topics to talk about that matter to no one but us. I'm going to be talking about the John Constantine TV show. Alan will be talking about video game remakes. Lawrence will be talking about new movies coming out on DVD and theater. And Jordan will be talking about the brand new TV shows coming out. So, it was recently announced that NBC was going to have their own John Constantine show. Some of you may remember John Constantine from the Keanu Reeves movie. If that's your only reference for the character, please forget that before watching this show.
See, I loved the movie, but I've never read the comics, so I don't know.
It's drastically different, but it was still
very
I
different.
really like the movie, though.
If you would have taken out it being Constantine, then I think you would have liked the movie.
No, I'll tell you, I like the movie. I do. I really think it is a good movie. That was the first time I ever heard of John Constantine, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, for the most part.
Okay.
So, I liked the movie. I liked Keanu Reeves. It was all fine, but it is not the same character.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example for those of you who have seen the film. John Constantine committed suicide as a child, or attempted suicide, and was brought back in the ambulance. So he is destined for hell for his suicide, and so he becomes pretty much an exorcist in the film.
So wait, was the attempt to commit suicide and then bringing him back why he can see like the demons and stuff? Or
In the film?
Yeah, I mean...
I think... No, he could see the demons before. That was the attempt.
And that's why.
Yeah, that's why he did.
That's why he attempted suicide.
Okay, that's right.
So they brought him back, and now he's destined to hell. So he's become an exorcist, and he's going around sending demons back to hell in hopes of buying his way into heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's also a horrible chain smoker, and that's consistent whether it's in the comics or in the movies. But and he finds out he has lung cancer and he's going to die, and he thinks it's God punishing him.
Mm-hmm.
And
at the end, they grab his lungs and take away the tongue.
Yeah. So basically, the movie goes on, and there's a girl he's got to save, which is Rachel Weisz, and then the Antichrist is involved, and he's coming to Earth. And throughout the film,
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Throughout the film, they say that Constantine is so hated by Lucifer that he's the one soul he would come to Earth to collect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the end of the film, when the Antichrist is about to win, John Constantine commits suicide, bringing Lucifer to collect his soul, and he tells him his son, the Antichrist's plan, is going on in the other room. So, because of the sacrifice, John is allowed to go to heaven. Mm-hmm. So, he's ascending to heaven, and Lucifer grabs him and cures him of his cancer and brings him back, hoping that he will one day end up in hell anyway, since he hates him so much. So that's movie Keanu Reeves' Constantine. In the comic books, John comes down with lung cancer. He's looking for a way to cure it. He sells his soul to 3 separate demons in the comics, and then 3 very powerful demons. None of them know this. Then he goes and commits suicide. When they all 3 show up to collect, they realize that they can't, because if the only way to do it fairly is to fight over who gets Constantine, and if they did that, God would have to stop the war and it would end time. It would be Armageddon or whatever. So they decide to just not collect. So he's cured of his lung cancer. He's about to go on his way, and the first thing he does is he lights up a cigarette because he will have died of natural causes before he gets lung cancer again.
Yeah.
John Constantine in the comic books is a selfish prick
Oh, yeah.
who only cares about himself.
Yeah.
He's not the noble knight that Keanu Reeves was.
He really is, like, kind of like a supernatural detective.
Yes.
Like, he knows how to make spells, and he uses that to his advantage, and he's very manipulative and uses people for his own gain.
For the Marvel fans, he could easily be put on the Doctor Strange level of magic.
Yeah.
But
D-bag Doctor Strange.
He's very selfish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I have concerns about this becoming a TV show because John Constantine is a selfish prick, and who wants to watch a show about a selfish prick?
Well, I loved Lie to Me, and it was kind of like that. I mean, he was very manipulative for his own gain.
Then again, House was extremely successful.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, that was another show. So maybe it does have a chance. I'm hoping though that they do go. Constantine
They won't have trouble finding an audience.
Yeah.
Well, supernatural shows are very big right now with
Yeah.
Supernatural and Sleepy Hollow, and there's a Dracula show, right? Plus there's Vampire Diaries and Originals and all that other semi-supernatural stuff. So there's definitely a market for it. But Constantine he's started out in Swamp Thing. And then eventually got his own series, The Hellblazer.
Yeah.
Which was Vertigo, in the Vertigo universe of DC, their own branch. And now he's been moved back into DC, and they've toned him down quite a bit. And tried to make him like a White Knight or whatever, doing things for the good.
Yeah, he's very much like an anti-hero, and
yes.
if he helps someone out, it's only because it's like he can cash in on that favor later.
Right. But even though he's been toned down in his very first issue of Constantine back in the DC universe, in his very first issue, there was a kid helping him, and helping him find an object, a magical object, and when the villains showed up, they captured the kid and said that they were going to kill him if John Constantine walks out, and John left. Because it was more important for him to have the artifact than
to save this kid.
Yeah, it was to keep it from the bad guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's still somewhat selfish, but then later on, about 8 issues later, they reveal that the kid had cancer and was going to die anyway. So John kind of spared him of going through that.
Dying slowly.
But I would have rather they not even mention that. I would have rather it just... He's a selfish jerk who only cares about the mission.
I think it could work as a TV show, because I think of, like... The way I see it is, it's almost like a supernatural CSI.
Yeah.
And pretty much the way I see it is you take CSI and you take the TV show Supernatural, and you just merge the two, and you make it about this guy who is very much... They would probably have to make him more of an anti-hero than a D-bag. I mean, he can still be that way, but you're obviously going to have some kind of supporting cast around him that maybe he's reluctant of having any kind of connection with someone, and
casting will be key on this. John Constantine is British. That was another reason why the Keanu Reeves didn't go over. Constantine's very British. His look was inspired by Sting, I believe, the singer, not the wrestler.
It'd be much cooler if he had face paint on the entire time.
I had to clear that up.
Like old Sting, like blonde, spiky-haired Sting.
Yeah.
And Constantine, he's blonde, so maybe it could have worked. But Constantine was a unique character because he aged. Like when Superman doesn't age, but Constantine and Hellblazer, he aged. And now that they've moved him to DC, he's really young again. So I'm sure they're going to want to go with a young guy for the show. Because he aged, you could cast any age of actor to play him.
Yeah. They'll go for a young, good-looking guy for it. But is it going to be on like the CW or NBC?
It's NBC's.
NBC, okay.
Yeah, that worries me. That if it was AMC at the least, or HBO or Showtime at best, I would believe in the show. But on NBC, they're going to neuter it.
I was going to say, I feel like if you went with a more cable TV station, then it would be more... They could go gritty.
Right. Like it should definitely be a premium channel show, like an HBO or Showtime.
Yeah, he's definitely a premium character.
Yeah.
But they can give it the budget that, say, AMC couldn't.
Right.
I don't know. AMC's been... I mean, they just had Breaking Bad, and they've got...
Right, but they don't usually on new shows. I mean, The Walking Dead, they spent the whole time on the farm because they were keeping the money,
Yeah.
But that's ridiculous to me, by the way. I mean, that's just a little tangent that I like to go on. That American movie classics is showing brand new TV shows. You know,
a lot of them are better than what's on.
Right, I know. Yeah, they're really good.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know.
But anyway, so there's been names thrown out.
I would definitely watch it.
David Tennant, I'd be okay with David Tennant.
Oh yeah.
Even though he's not British, I would be okay with James Marsters, who played Spike on Buffy, which really all you got to do is change the color of his trench coat.
That's true.
And give him cigarettes, and you pretty much got the same character.
I liked him in Smallville a lot.
He has a passable British accent.
Well, and you don't even have to make him British.
No, he's got to have a British accent.
It
won't happen in London. It's core to the character. I mean,
the way I see it is, if this is going to be an NBC show, they're probably going to base it in America, and it's probably going to be an American guy. Just because I bet they'll see it as this is a comic book character. We're trying to make a TV show out of it. We need to make it as relatable to a wider audience as possible. So we're talking young, good-looking guy who is witty and smart and can get his way out of anything, which is the character. But then he's probably not going to have a British accent because they want it to be... I'm sure they'll want it to be pretty relatable.
America is in love with the British, though. I mean, look at how much time we obsessed over the wedding, the pregnancy, and all these other... and the
yeah, but I don't know if they'd sit through an entire... Like, well, I don't know.
His supporting cast. Like, just have him be British and then base it in New York. Because in the New 52, they've moved him to New York.
You can tell by how unpopular Downton Abbey is that we don't like British series.
Well, I'm thinking they just did Elementary, which is
people love Sherlock
Holmes in New York, but he still has a British accent.
I think it could work. Somebody said the guy from Psych, is Psych ending? They would like to see him take on
This
Constantine.
is their last season, I think, for Psych.
I love Psych.
Also should be noted that David S. Goyer is writing this with
never mind that.
Another writer.
I fear that I might be the only person on this planet that thinks David Goyer can't write.
It concerns me that Goyer's writing this because he's stretching himself too thin, and he's an okay writer. He's not.
I feel like Goyer did a wonderful job of holding on to Christopher Nolan's coattails,
and then the guy that he's working with,
every studio, like I
can't think of his name,
as good as him.
But he wrote for The Mentalist and Psych, and something else,
which makes me think it's going to be very much a procedural monster of the week.
Could be
very little arc throughout the entire series.
Could be.
I don't know.
Probably the first season at least. Probably won't get into the bigger arcs till later on.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's got to be enough about.
We'll see if this actually goes through, though. Like,
I read somewhere, and it's only on one site.
Yeah.
That I read it, but I read somewhere that NBC has to at least show the pilot. That it's in the contract already. They don't have to pick up the show, but they have to air the pilot. Was it NBC that had the Munsters? They were doing a Munsters remake, and aired only the pilot.
I don't even remember the pilot. I don't even know. Has it been out yet?
Yeah, it was. It was a couple years ago with Jerry O'Connell was Herman Munster.
Really? I didn't even hear about this somehow.
I heard way back when they were wanting to redo it, but
they spent like, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of money on the pilot.
That's the problem with NBC is like they'll just throw so much money at a TV show, and if it doesn't work, like immediately, then they just get rid of it.
Like, not near as bad as Fox. Like Fox,
I think they spent $10 million on the pilot, but I'm not sure.
We'll air 2 or 3 episodes, and that's all you get. You know, I mean, NBC will usually give you at least 8
They're
or
really
9.
bad at canceling stuff in the middle of their first season.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're on TV shows already, I'm going to go ahead and move over to Jordan, who's going to talk about some new TV shows.
Okay. Well, with it being the new being fall season, every show that you probably watch is coming back for their new seasons. But on top of that, there are a lot of other shows that came out, and we previously had a podcast where we talked about TV shows that really excited us, that we were looking forward to, and I just kind of wanted to go back to that and talk about a few shows that I have watched. I've seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Michael J. Fox Show, Trophy Wife, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., things like that. And I have to say, of what I've seen, most of them are pretty good. Brooklyn Nine-Nine is probably one of the funniest shows I've seen in a very long time. The characters are hilarious in it. The comedy is wonderful because it's a little bit of everything. You've got a little bit of like slapstick comedy and a lot of like quick witty humor with like Andy Samberg, and a lot of like very dry, on the nose, like just very sarcastic humor as well from the captain, who's played by Andre
Bauer.
Andre Bauer, who's great in this show.
Yeah, he is really good.
And I remember I watched the first episode with my girlfriend, and she was really bummed because...
Oh, with your girlfriend.
Well, she was really...
keep bringing that up.
Rub that in our faces.
She was really bummed because if you watch the preview of it, it's all the same jokes are in that first episode. And they are, but just like any show, you kind of have to wait till the second episode to like really get a feel of what the show's going to be like. All right. So, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's comedy with Andy Samberg, and Andre, I know you just said it, Lawrence, but what was
Bauer?
Andre Bauer. New police captain comes into this precinct and makes people really do their job, and Andy Samberg is a great detective, but is really mature and likes to have fun and is jokey and silly and things like that. But the characters in that are hilarious. You've got like Terry Crews in there, who is one of my favorite jokes is that they're talking about having him go up to a lineup, and one of the cops is like, "Hey, do you want to be Scary Terry today?" And he's like, "Oh, I love being Scary Terry." He says what Terry's thinking about all the time. And he shows them in a lineup. He's like, "When are we going to be done here? I've got so much grocery shopping to do." And he's just so angry about it. And it's really silly, fun stuff.
It's Terry Crews, you know, like only Terry Crews can be.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and the whole time I watch it, I'm smiling or I'm laughing, and it's never really a dull moment.
Yeah, no, it was surprisingly good. Like, I had low expectations for it, because I like Andy Samberg, but I wasn't sure how he would be, like,
if he could carry
in his own show.
Yeah.
But I really like it. I was impressed.
He's the humor reminds me of, like, really quick, witty humor of, like, Psych and things like that. It's a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Samberg is why I didn't watch it yet.
He's great in it. He's not, like, the super silly Sandberg of like SNL or even like Lonely Island. It's very much a scripted TV show.
Okay.
So I mean, it's just his delivery of things is really funny. You've got like deadpanned and like he's clearly like he's just a man child is what he is, and so he's just trying to have fun in his job, and he's being forced to be a grown up here, and it's just really really good. I've seen the first 2 episodes of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I really enjoyed the first episode. Like, setting it up with all the characters.
The first episode?
Yes.
Have you seen the second one?
Yeah,
I have not seen the second one yet. I've seen the first one, and I really liked it.
I'm going to let Jordan finish his thought before I get on that.
The first episode was awesome. Like, thoroughly enjoyed, like, almost every minute of it. The second episode really was me going, oh, man, I don't know if this is going to work. Just because they just threw away the fun. Like, I'm in a new world and there's all this like cool stuff that's going on, and it's kind of in the movie universe, so I understand what the rules are, but anything can go. And it was so campy and so cheesy in the second episode, and I didn't know what they were trying to go with. And as I told Lawrence the other day, I was okay throughout the entire episode, because I'm thinking, hey, maybe they're just really focusing on this group dynamic. Like, they haven't got it nailed down yet. That's what we're working towards. I get that. But there's one thing that happens at the end of that episode that is so, and I realize that this is in a universe where there are demigods and super tech.
Before we go too far, let's just throw on a spoiler warning for those of you who haven't seen the second episode yet. Yeah. We'll find out what Jordan hated.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for the next 10 seconds. The one thing that utterly ticked me off in this episode is they're in a giant
airplane.
Giant, like huge. And they blow up the side of the plane.
Shoot the side out.
Yeah, they shoot the side out so it's like to throw off the bad guys. And their solution to this is to find a raft.
An inflatable rubber raft.
Yeah, like, we've crashed in the ocean, we have a raft, and we can survive on it.
The big octagonal yellow raft on planes.
And the girl who's supposed to be like, I'm not even really supposed to be here, I'm not even a part of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's the tech girl from the first one?
Yeah, the tech girl, the Sky. And she releases an inflatable raft, and it is perfectly sized enough to where it plugs up the hole that they're coming from. But remember...
but not get ripped out.
Yes.
Right.
And it's still flapping in the wind.
Thousands of feet in the air in a giant aircraft.
At least 30,000 feet.
Yeah, that's plummeting. Regardless, it's in the air.
Right.
And I'm supposed to believe... I can believe that a dude is smart enough that he creates an Iron Man outfit. Right. And I can believe that a dude gets frozen in ice and can be resurrected 40 years later.
Yeah.
Like, I can get that. But in 30,000 feet in the air... Isn't that what they did to Walt
Disney?
Not yet. They haven't brought it back yet.
Just as thick as, like, cardboard, like...
If any,
like, plastic is what is keeping that hole from
the air pressure.
Yeah, from the air
sucking
pressure.
It right out.
Like, I refuse to believe that. I don't want to live in a world where that is the TV's, like, Here's our fixed problem.
When somebody out there skipped ahead 10 seconds when you gave that spoiler warning, and it was still going on, and now they're really mad.
It just ticks me off that, like, you've got all this super high-tech stuff, and then
that was your solution.
And that was your solution.
Right.
Pull floaty.
Like, they could have been like, hey, here's a generic hole-patching bomb.
Yeah.
And that would have been better than throwing a raft. I mean, I guess it was a magic hole-patching bomb.
If you have, like, little mini helicopters that can go around and analyze things in a crime scene, which is really cool, and I dig that, but then you're just like... I would be more believable if it was like, here's a plastic bomb that when it explodes it fills
just
holes.
Glue or something.
I would believe that.
Yeah, it would have been way simpler solution than this, more believable.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I commented out loud whenever I was in such shock that that had just happened on my TV because it just blew my mind that was their solution, a rubber raft.
Yeah,
it was like
really, really concerns me that
it's a S.H.I.E.L.D rubber raft.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
metal. It's Kevlar.
It's Kevlar. It's Kevlar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the show.
The first episode was okay. The second episode, I came to the realization that I did not care for this show.
Yeah.
I will continue to watch it because I didn't like Arrow at first, and now Arrow is my favorite, one of my top shows that I have to watch. So I'm going to give it a chance.
They could have just stacked Iron Man suits in the...
Yeah, I would have been okay with that.
House Party.
Give me
better hole plug.
Give me a believable thing that, like, explain to me how it can happen in this universe I don't live in. Don't be like, if that was something that could happen in the real world...
because S.H.I.E.L.D. There's a little bit of realism to it. Now, the thing I didn't like in the first one was that, and it kind of carries over in the second one, is that there's so much about the Avengers. I mean, there's a lot of references to the Avengers, and that's going to get tired.
Yeah.
You know, it can't stand on its own.
Well, I'm thinking that after the first few episodes, they'll quit doing that.
I'm hoping.
And then they're like, oh, by the way, Iron Man 3, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they will. I'm sure that eventually, I mean, they'll reference the current movies at the time. You know, like, oh, Thor's off doing this or whatever. You know,
my favorite thing though is that originally no one from the movies is going to be in this, and then they're like, well, Coulson's going to be in this, and they're like, the first episode we're going to have Brielle, and then they're like, you know what? Second episode, Sam Jackson,
Yep.
And it's just it's ridiculous.
It's like
other shows that I've kind of looked into. I started watching Trophy Wife. I was just kind of choosing random new shows to watch. I really liked it. It's pretty funny. Just a family of guy has 2 ex-wives and he has kids with each one of them, and then he marries a younger, like, trophy wife or his third wife, and it's her just trying to be a part of this family, and it's funny. The kids in it are like, there's this.
How old are the kids? Are there any of them close to her age?
No,
will there be that conflict?
The oldest kids are like, I think 12 and 14.
That is a thing that happens.
The best is like there's this little Asian 8-year-old who plays his third son. He's adopted, and he's hilarious in it. Like it's just silly, like kid who's too smart for his own good. Like they're trying to put him to bed, and he's like, all right, now we're going to count down from 10 and we're going to go to sleep. How about we count down from 1 billion? No, you're just stalling. And then his wife is just, well, stalling means, and then her husband's like, no, he knows what stalling means. He's just messing with you. And the kid's just smiling like, ha ha ha. And it's fun, like family humor, and it's a good time. And then
what channel is that on?
That is on CBS.
Oh yeah, is this going to be the How I Met Your Mother replacement then, or
no? Actually, I could be wrong. I honestly, no, it's on ABC. I'm sorry, it's on ABC. So it's a nice little like family comedy thing. The last one that I really want to talk about is Masters of Sex. That's on Showtime.
Ooh,
yes,
well.
This is about
adult time kids.
William Masters, who in the 50s and 60s, he was the first one to kind of like really study sex and how people respond to that. Like how
I thought you were going to say he was the first one to have sex. I was going to say we owe him a great deal.
We should all give him a high five. But he just examines like the like 4 stages of sex, of how you're aroused and like all that stuff. But it's really, really interesting because it takes place in the 50s, and back then, like, you don't talk about that at all.
Right.
And, like, if you're, like, as a wife, your sole responsibility is you make babies. That's it. Like, that's all you're good for, essentially.
You don't enjoy sex.
Yeah, you don't at all. And it's really interesting because he's a fertility specialist. Like, he knows, like, what needs to be done to make sure that you can have children, both male or female, mostly female. And it's just interesting to go from he is the best at his job in that, and he's brought all this money into this hospital, and he tells his boss that he wants to look into how, like, what is sex, and he's labeled a pervert, and and he's working with, like, prostitutes and all kinds of stuff because he just wants to understand this, and he's just, like, shunned from the get-go, and everyone is putting him behind. But then, like, speaking as a psychologist, like, he was the first one that, like, studied this, and he was famous for it, and it's just really interesting to see that mindset. And about the only other 50 show that's out there is Mad Men, and in that they treat women like poop.
Dirt.
Yeah, like the lowest.
That show's pretty rough.
It is, and it's just interesting to me to like imagine being in that time period, because like now you talk about it, everyone's like, not a big deal.
Yeah.
There's Reddit. Like,
I don't think I've treated a woman like crap for at least a good few months now. I'm really coming up into the modern time.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna keep watching some newer shows. Like,
have you seen We Are Men?
I have not. I don't want to watch that.
See, I
I'm
liked
not
it. I watched the first episode and I enjoyed it.
Really?
But I love Jerry O'Connell.
Man,
I'd watch him read the phone book.
I watched a little of Dad's. Like, I watched the first episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I thought it might be funny, but
I'm kind of over laugh track comedies. Like, don't tell me when
I need to laugh.
Yeah.
Thanks, Big Bang Theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were the worst of them.
I love the Big Bang Theory.
I enjoy it. But
yeah, they're heavy on the laugh track.
They'll make a joke, and you're just like, oh, that really wasn't that funny. And then you hear a laugh track, and you're like, I'm supposed to laugh at that? That was terrible.
This computer's running Vista.
Vista, that's not the newest operating system.
Oh, man.
The Tomorrow People. You gonna watch that one?
The Tomorrow People.
You gonna watch that one?
See,
it stars
decide. It's on the CW,
Stephen Amell's
right?
cousin, right? Yeah, and it's on the CW. It's basically X-Men.
Now I'm holding out for the Flash. I can't wait for the Flash spinoff because it's going to happen this season. We're going to see it.
Yeah. When does Arrow start back up?
I thought it has.
Next week.
Next week.
I think. It's the 8th or 9th or something like that, maybe.
Okay.
I forget.
Let me read you the synopsis of The Tomorrow People. Robbie Amell, cousin of Arrow, Stephen Amell, stars as Stephen, confused yet, a teen who begins hearing voices and teleporting in his sleep. It turns out that he, along with Peyton List, Luke Mitchell, and Aaron Yu, represent the next stage in human evolution, each possessing unique special powers. The series is based on the UK series of the same name and comes from The Vampire Diaries' Julie Plec and Arrow's Greg Berlanti.
Oh, so it's the X-Men.
That's what I just said. It's the X-Men.
Or it's, what was it, Push? Was that the...
Yeah.
Or it's Heroes.
Alphas.
Or it's Alphas.
Right, but still, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Jumper, 2008.
I love that movie.
Was it 08? It was a good movie.
One thing, though, I want to touch on, since you're on the new TV shows, or the returning shows, what about Once Upon a Time?
The new spinoff, I don't know.
The Wonderland one?
I don't know if they have the first episode out yet or not.
I seen it was available on Hulu, but I haven't watched the new. I watched
either.
the new Once Upon a Time, but I haven't
I
seen
watched
Wonderland
Once Upon a Time,
yet.
but I haven't watched the Wonderland one yet either. But I still am surprised at how much I like Once Upon a Time. Like, I really expected to hate it when I started it, because I'm like, I don't want to watch a show about fairy tales,
Yeah.
And then I watch it, and I'm like, man,
Have you seen the new one this season?
Yeah.
Okay, it was really good. It seemed long. Was it long?
I don't think it was. I mean, I think it's just an hour.
I never watched it. I heard that I would like it.
But it was good. They covered a lot of stuff in it.
I really love...
and Rumpelstiltskin was a pimp in that first episode.
Rumpelstiltskin, yeah. What's his name? I can't think.
Mr. Gold.
Robert Carlyle.
Robert Carlyle.
From SGU, yeah.
Yeah. I love that actor.
Yeah, he's great in it too. He is that character is awesome.
Yeah,
there's a few like I have Sleepy Hollow. I haven't watched Sleepy Hollow.
I watched the first one and it was okay. I haven't got to the others.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it, but yeah, there are just so many shows that I want to watch this fall. Yeah. It's so hard for me to keep up with everything.
I'll probably watch Sleepy Hollow today.
The sad thing is like I'm just waiting for the first show to get canceled. So then I can be like, awesome, I'll go ahead and watch it now because I know there's only like 3 or 4 episodes out.
Right.
And then I can decide whether I'm upset that it was canceled or not.
Yeah, but we talked about fall TV shows before, you know. And after that, even I started like researching shows that we didn't talk about, you know. And I think that I made a list, and I think there was like 17 shows this fall that I wanted to watch, or at least give a chance, you know. Right. And I'm like, man, that is like 8.5 hours of TV.
Yeah. Well, like, I think it's the new Chuck Lorre comedy. It's Moms or whatever. Mom.
Yeah, that's the one with Anna Faris.
Yeah, like, I'd like to watch that, but...
See, like, I like Anna Faris sometimes, but, like, sometimes I really hate her.
She is, like, big-time hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
So, like, what was it, the What's Your Number? Mm-hmm. Like, I actually liked that movie. Yeah, it was fun.
And it had Captain America in it.
It did.
Cool. I mean, he was actually Captain. It was Steve Rogers.
Oh, well, Alan, what do you got?
I have video game remakes and reboots. I've got about 7 of them.
Yeah.
Right. A couple of them I didn't even know about till today. So we got that going for us.
I'll represent the old school video game reboot.
The first one I'd like to talk about is Mighty Number 9. Which is basically a remake of Mega Man. It was a Kickstarter event that they held. Raised a bunch of money, and they actually attained a bunch of stretch goals. So it's in development for the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo 3DS, Wii U, and Windows.
See, so this was a Kickstarter?
Yeah, it was a Kickstarter.
That's cool.
I think it's some people that were from Capcom. Am I remembering that right?
Capcom was...
Mega Man.
Yeah.
Kickstarter.
See, my problem is like as an old school video game aficionado, like, you know, I mean, I grew up playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo,
and now you've rebought them all.
And I can't get into video games of today. You know, I don't enjoy Call of Duty. I don't enjoy the new Grand Theft Auto games. I don't enjoy Saints Row. I don't enjoy...
I think one of the biggest things for that is the community that's in there. Mm-hmm. Like, I enjoy getting online and playing a couple of games of Call of Duty, but I hate whenever I'm talking to...
But, like, that's what I hate, is I hate, like, how serious people take video games nowadays.
Yes.
Like, and we were kind of talking about it last night because you guys were watching the league championships, you know, and I'm like, people are paying money to go watch people play video games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, that is just, like, video games are a hobby.
Yeah.
Not a job. I mean, I know that a lot of people make really good living playing video games. But yeah, I mean, it's
the people who won that World Championships last night. Their team wins $1 million.
Yeah, so there's like 5 of them, right? Yeah. So they all get like 200,000 apiece.
In addition to, they are already
sponsored
salaried
stuff,
employees with sponsors.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I know that it's very profitable. I just don't get it because to me it was always just a hobby. You know, I mean, something that I did for fun for a few minutes a day. But I'm excited about that one. That was my point. Is that if they would bring back more games that I loved as a kid, I would be more into video games today.
Definitely. I've been playing old games here more recently. The second one is Shadow of the Colossus, which is a game primarily about riding horses and then climbing on top of giant monsters.
See, that sounds awful.
I think it was a PlayStation game originally, and they're remaking it now. The third one is Shadowrun, which Shadowrun is actually a pen and paper game, but they've released a bunch of video games in that vein. The first one was for Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis.
I played it on Super Nintendo. I never played the Sega Genesis version.
Yeah, so the older games were traditionally real-time battles, and then like it's a sort of a mystery type thing, like find items, unlock new areas. Talk to people, gather information, that type of thing. And then they released like a terrible shooter for the PC a few years ago, but just a while back they re-released Shadowrun for PC. It's on Steam. But they changed everything up. It's now a...
You want to talk about the Steam box today, too?
Oh, we probably shouldn't talk about that. But the game turned into more of a Fire Emblem type battle system where you can move and attack or just attack or find cover or whatever you want to do. It's a really interesting game and it's worth some time. I played a few hours of it, but I'm not really into those turn-based strategy fighters anymore, so I stopped. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was just remade for the Wii U.
And is it just updated graphics, or...?
Well, they updated the graphics, which was easy to do because it's vector graphics. So it does look really beautiful on the Wii U. But they also added a few things that players wanted, so you don't have to change the direction of the wind all the time to sail. They added a sail that you can just go in one direction
forever, cool.
And stuff like that. But that's actually one of my favorite Legend of Zelda games because that was the first time that they started messing around with those quick time events. What do you call those? Some enemies have a tell when they're attacking you, and you can hit A really quick to perform like a counter or something. And then in later games like Twilight Princess, they changed that to where now you can double jump to the side at any time and do a roll.
Yeah. Like, Mario RPG is the first game that I remember where you could do that. Like, you could basically counter them as their time is just right and get either double damage or avoid damage on their attacks.
Yeah. I love Wind Waker. It's got a neat feel to it. It's kind of cartoony. It doesn't take itself super seriously.
Yeah, so. Which is good in the game.
I like it.
I'm getting there. I'm getting ready to start Ocarina of Time this week, I think. I finished up Link to the Past.
Yeah.
So...
Boy, that was a good game. Tomb Raider, the reboot that came out, I think it's been a couple of years now, hasn't it? 1 year, maybe?
Yeah.
It hasn't been too long, I don't think.
Yeah, not terribly long.
But I haven't played it. I did watch my brother playing a bunch of it. It seems really interesting. I think as far as reboots go, it should be successful.
People really seem to like it. I mean, I remember reading a lot of positive reviews when it came out.
From what I saw of it, it can be pretty gruesome. Some of the death scenes on that will make your stomach turn.
I love it. I love those games where you can just jump off a rock and break your neck and stuff. It's just like, hey, be careful, dummy.
Yeah, you don't want to do that a second time. I got a couple of upcoming ones as well. The new Thief game, previously it was running under the working title of Thief 4. But now they've decided that... I can't even talk today. Now they've decided that it's going to be a reboot. And I was reading its Wikipedia page earlier, and they said that some leaked information got out that said that networking engineers were working on the game, as well as some people were asked about that, and they declined to comment. So that's pretty strong evidence that there's going to be a multiplayer option.
Which does that make you happy or sad? Thief multiplayer.
I don't know. I recently heard news on the multiplayer in Assassin's Creed.
That's pretty
I heard
fun.
about how you play it, where your goal is to seem like an NPC mostly.
Yeah.
And then once you have 2 or 3 other people in the match who you're trying to kill. So you're just walking around with all of these other people, and you see someone, and you're like, "There's something not quite right about the way that guy's moving."
Yeah.
And then you kill him. If it's something like that, I can see it being really fun. I mean, I like.
Wasn't Thief more like actual stealth of like hide in low light shadows?
Right. Yeah. It was one of, if not the first game that had like a light indicator on you. You could hide in the corner of some building as long as.
It came out around the same time, like the first Rainbow Six came out, didn't it? And
I believe.
What was the other one? The Rainbow Six and that other game that are almost identical. The dude with the Sam.
Splinter Cell?
Splinter Cell.
Oh, yeah. I saw an article the other day talking about how Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell is the only superhero, like, video game protagonist that actually ages backwards.
Right. He's got the Benjamin Button thing going on.
And my last one, upcoming is the new Star Wars Battlefront game, which is, I think, scheduled for 2015.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront has always been an awesome series. It's basically all of the large-scale battles from the Star Wars universe happening.
Yeah.
So you are fighting alongside maybe 100 other...
Stormtroopers.
Or
whatever.
cool.
Yeah.
It's
like
gigantic.
The cool thing about the second one was like if you did well enough, like if you were just like Stormtrooper 123, awesome. Like I'm just really good right now, then you could like eventually have like a special character you could spawn as, like a Jedi or Sith warrior, and you could play as that for a little bit. Yeah. And they were broken as nut. Like
you could play as Yoda in one level.
Yeah,
you're just like,
and you're just jumping.
I am so fast.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter. Like. You start out with a limited amount of health, and then it goes down every second.
Right.
If you kill someone, it goes back up. But Yoda's so fast that you can run from one side to the other, kill everyone, and then go back, and you just never run out of life.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I kind of hope that they treat Battlefront kind of like Battlefield right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be able to drive like a giant AT-AT and go in a battle like that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be cool.
Really cool.
But
yeah, and if they open it up with stuff like destructible environments and things like that, I think it could be very interesting. Because there are bunkers all over the place, but if you can't blow the crap out of them, what fun is that?
Right.
And I want it to be on indoor so I can shoot a lot of teddy bears.
Okay.
And possible, and just have like Wookiee boxing. I think that'd be awesome as well.
Let the Wookiee win.
Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well, Lawrence, what have you got for us?
I got movies. That's all I care about.
You got Blu-ray and
I got Blu-ray and theatrical releases.
DVD.
Well, I don't know what that means.
DVD.
Okay.
The D's of the V's. The D's.
We'll talk about Blu-ray releases first.
Okay.
And the worst part is I haven't seen most of them, so I'm just going to have to speculate on all of them.
Okay.
I'm really excited about this.
After Earth is the first one that's coming out.
I heard that.
You lost me at M. Night Shyamalan.
You know what's funny? It's like they tried so hard to keep his name out of everything to do with that movie.
I'd heard that.
They're like, shh, don't say he's directing it. People won't watch it. They're like, just push the Will Smith thing.
I had someone ask me that the other day. They like, what's that After Earth? Oh, that's got Will Smith in it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I want to see it. Do you want to see it? Nope. M. Night Shyamalan wrote and directed that.
Yeah.
I have no interest in that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. Like,
it didn't do well though, right? Considering it's a Will Smith movie.
Yeah, like I think it's one of his worst grossing movies, maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have no opinion on that other than the fact that I may watch it when it comes to HBO or something. I don't know.
When it gets to Netflix.
When it's on Netflix, I might give it a try.
Straight to DVD.
Yeah. Hangover 3. Again,
okay.
Another movie that I haven't seen.
It was alright.
But I really liked the first one, obviously. I mean, it was new and different, you know. Mm-hmm. The second one was the first one repackaged in a different place. The third one I hear is actually
it's different.
And good, yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one that I haven't seen at all is The Purge, but it's another one that I'm interested in seeing. It's kind of a neat idea for a movie, you know. Right. It's
once a year. There's no law.
No law.
See, I heard
24 hours or something like that.
Audiences were too distracted by that. This would never happen. But that's what a movie is.
Yeah, it's escapism.
Yeah, you have to go into it knowing that and suspend your belief in reality for a minute. The last Blu-ray release I have that I kind of want to talk about is The Dark Knight Returns. Their
deluxe edition.
Yeah, the deluxe edition where they just basically packaged 1 and 2 into one long movie.
I think I might actually get that.
And they added a bunch of special
so they'll
features.
Be on the same
It just
disc?
makes me mad.
Yeah.
It's all one long movie now. They just put them together.
Money.
They have some kind of limit. They have a time limit on their animated movies. DC does. all their animated movies have to stick in the same time limit.
Yeah.
And that's why that one was a 2-parter. But now they're putting it together anyway. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
That's what they should have done in the first place.
It only makes me mad because I bought 1 and 2 on Blu-ray already, so now I'm expected to buy the deluxe edition.
And this deluxe edition is going to have more special features on it than
stuff
the
that
other
I
ones.
want to see.
Yeah.
So
And they're like, this is how we can make Ben Affleck into Batman.
It's true.
If you watch this movie.
I hope it's actually Ben Affleck just giving the preface to the movie. He's just there talking.
That's the only addition?
Yeah.
Be like,
You've bought the Batman Dark Knight Returns Deluxe Edition.
I'm Ben Affleck.
In a few years,
The
you'll
next
see
Batman.
me. I saw an article the other day about someone within the Superman versus Batman production crew was just like, people can complain as much as they want about Ben Affleck being Batman. Just so you know, this movie has been in production for much longer than you think.
I've heard that.
Apparently, even halfway through Man of Steel, they're just like, "This is what we're gonna do for the next one."
Oh, really?
And they went ahead and started going for it. So, but I apologize, Lawrence. What else you got?
Don't apologize. Where'd my list go?
Oh, that's
Where'd
terrible.
you go?
Now, the DVD, that's all your DVDs?
That's all my DVDs, yeah.
So you're going to go
Those
to...
are only
Now we're going to go to
worthwhile
theatrical
to
releases.
mention.
Right, yeah. There's quite a few more coming out, but a lot of them are, like Airplane 2 is coming out on Blu-ray for the first time, and there's some 30th editions of some shows coming out, and just stuff that's not new. I mean, I realize that Dark Knight Returns also is not new, but I wanted to talk about it.
But for the first time altogether.
Yeah. So, theatrical releases, the first one I have on here is Machete Kills.
Oh, I want to see that
I
so
know that Jordan's
bad.
so excited about it.
Oh.
I have not watched the first one.
I haven't either, but just watching that trailer, I don't even need to know. All I need to know is that this is a over the top,
Right, which is how the first one was too. I think. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
In the Grindhouse style.
yeah, they're both Robert Rodriguez, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
And I love Danny Trejo. I really think that
Me
I would
too.
like Machete. I just haven't actually taken the time to sit down and watch it yet. It seems silly and fun to me.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. The next one is Zero Charisma. It's about a dungeon master, a D&D dungeon master, living his life, and someone in his group or in his campaign quits, so they have to take on a new member, and their new member is kind of a more popular hipster kind of guy, and he doesn't like that about him because he's
He's a
a
fake.
nerd purist, he's thinks he's a poser.
You can't be a nerd.
Right.
You don't have the right look.
You're only a nerd because it's popular right now.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd from way back when it wasn't cool. I was a nerd before it was cool.
The way you're describing it, he sounds like the hipster.
Right.
Do you like Forrest Gump? Because if you don't like Forrest Gump, you're one of those people who won't go to heaven.
That's true. That's what This Is the End taught me.
That's a nice way to put it.
That's what, This Is the End claims that that's how it works.
It is.
Well.
So everyone go watch Forrest Gump and love the movie.
If you don't love Forrest Gump, you have no heart. For real.
Right. I know. That's what I said last night. I'm who doesn't like Forrest Gump? I don't know anyone that's ever
Barring
it's
people that
okay.
have never seen it,
Right.
which I don't even believe exist.
Right. I mean,
Well,
young people.
Lawrence hasn't even seen That Thing You Do, so...
That's true.
I haven't seen that.
Come on, people.
We're 3-1 now.
Yeah. It's a great
I think I
movie.
might have seen parts of it.
Right. I will.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. I will watch it. I just haven't watched it yet. I realize it's been out forever.
Do you love watching a movie about a made-up, Americanized version of the Beatles? Because I do.
Yeah. Except for I hate the Beatles.
I do too, but... Man, we just lost, all of our viewers
I
right
know
there.
everybody
I'm
loves the
pretty
Beatles.
The Beatles are
Prepared
just
for your
okay.
emails.
Yeah. Some angry fan mail.
Yep. My next one is Escape from Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a movie. It is a very, very cheaply made documentary, mockumentary, about these people went to Disney World and filmed this movie and like a horror thriller version of like losing their kids, I think, in Disney World, and they have to like find them and get them home, and all this weird, like really weird, trippy stuff is happening. But the most interesting thing is like they filmed this at Disney World without even Disney's knowledge of it. Like apparently they had no idea.
Did Disney try to stop it once the
trailer came out and everyone was like, that's really cool, but Disney's gonna sue the crap out of you now, and Disney was like, meh, go ahead, not a big deal.
Right.
So I guess it's just a good
we
example.
allow cameras. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Right.
There's no such thing as bad press.
No, that's true.
That's true. Yeah, if they did try to litigate, I'm sure that would arouse all sorts of hate.
True.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one I have is All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. I'll read you the plot outline. A group of high schoolers invite Mandy Lane, a good girl who became quite hot over the summer, to a weekend party on a secluded ranch. While the festivities rage on, the number of revelers begin to drop quite mysteriously. So I don't have a clue what this movie's about.
Picked off,
but
sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah, teenage horror movie,
horror mystery thriller.
Is it going to involve like hockey masks or really long
or
fingernail things?
Probably something like that. And that's it.
I do want to say that they released the new trailer for the next Hobbit movie, and you actually get to hear
Sherlock.
Benedict
Cumber.
Yeah, Sir Sherlock Kahn as the voice of Smaug, and it's actually really cool. It's this they added like a really like deeper, rough, grumbly voice for it being a dragon,
right?
But he like sounds really, really good.
Huh.
And I also read that Peter Jackson, as of now, the cost of making all three of those movies is
like $516
million.
Yeah.
Wow.
To make those movies.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you'd have each one of those movies would have to get upwards, between $150 to $200 million each movie to make back the budget.
Oh, that'll be fine. People love those.
I don't know. I gotta figure. I wonder how much The Hobbit was.
I don't know, but
How
I'm
much
sure
it
that they
grossed.
made their money back.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that they've
No
made
doubt.
that $500 million back.
Yeah,
I bet.
probably already.
I really kind of like that Benedict Cumberbatch, but to me, he just kind of came out of nowhere the last few years. I mean, he's been around for a while, but I've never really noticed him until recently.
Well, that was that big thing of whenever he was in Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, "Oh wow, we just kind of this random nobody who did a really good audition."
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this show, I believe. If you have any comments on old video games being remade, or any new movies that you love or can't wait to see, or any new TV shows, or if you're a Constantine Hellblazer fan, please comment. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and like and subscribe on YouTube.
Like and subscribe on YouTube.
We out?
YouTube?
YouTube. With a B at the end. Goodbye.